Hello, my name's Matt, and every now and then I like doing these development videos for my monster zookeeping game, the Eldritch Zookeeper. So here's some new stuff. There's a brand new camera in the game, smooth zoom in and orienting. It's all very fancy. There are new walls too. If you recall, the old ones were these big old cubes, but these new ones, they're a lot nicer and they're in the same style as the zoo gate, you know, that kind of cast iron Victorian style. So it all fits together. You can also now build feed-in troughs to keep a monster's food organized. I like the way the food kind of gently floats into place. You can still drop food into a pen just loose, and the monsters will find them and eat them just fine, but they can get kicked out of a pen, or in winter they can end up being covered by snow, so feed-in troughs are just a good idea. One big piece of the work that's gone into the game that is just a little bit harder to show in video is the saving and loading system. You know, building up a zoo takes time, and I want players to come back to in-progress games. So when a game gets saved, there's just a ton of data about everything. Just take any visitor as an example. A visitor has a position and a direction. They also have a visual appearance. They might be holding something like an ice cream. They might be watching a monster or walking towards one or running away from one. Maybe they're queuing or they're on fire. You know, there's just a lot of different states, and this really applies to everything in the game. So technically the challenge isn't just not missing anything and loading everything in the right order. To try and think through the problem, right? What you're seeing now, this was my first pass at kind of just figuring out what is the correct way to do this sort of thing. Spawning a bunch of physically simulated objects that relate or point to one another, and then just seeing what is the best way to represent all of that associated data on disk. And you see this is what game development really looks like, just grey spheres. You can also see that in this video I'm showing off zoos that are a lot bigger than I have in previous videos. Usually I've ended up showing a zoo with a handful of visitors and just a few monsters, and in fact this is probably the question I get more than any other from people who see these videos. Can I make a big zoo? And yes, you can. It's just that building a big zoo takes time. You know, for these sorts of videos I just build smaller zoos because it's quicker, but with saving and loading I can keep testing with just larger zoo projects. And this has also led me to put a lot of effort into making sure performance is fairly reasonable even on huge zoos with more monsters and hundreds of visitors. And there's still more work to be done on that front, but I've made some good steps. And if you want to follow along with those steps with development, the two best things you can do, right? Firstly, wishlist the game on Steam, right? It's on Steam. Just click that wishlist button and you won't miss the game when it releases. And the second way you can follow along is by subscribing right here on YouTube. Click that button, and then you got to click the second button in the shape of a bell, otherwise you're not actually really subscribed. Apparently it's a strange otherworldly system. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again soon. Bye.